Hi everybody. I want to do a really quick video here and show you what I've been doing here on the farm. I've been looking at the fodder systems for quite some time of growing wheat, barley, stuff like that, feeding it to the livestock, roots and all, no dirt, no chemicals. And so I've kind of built myself one. Now right now I'm just playing with the whole first week's production of it. I mean, I've grown a couple of trays off the bat just to see if the animals liked it. A majority of them do. Have some things I got to change around. But I want to kind of show you what I've got going on right now. And this is very rough. This is something that I'm just playing with. Once I decide this is going to work and what I want to do with it, I'll change things up. So let me see if I can flip you around here and show you what I got. Okay, I know this looks like a weird setup here, but was doing really well until the temperature started to drop. So we had to, I had to keep the heat in somehow. So let me kind of open up here a little bit and push this ladder over so you can kind of see or hold the plastic back a little bit for us. Okay, so what I've done is I've come up against the wall of the greenhouse on the south wall so that we've got lots of light coming in during the day and it heats up inside this area. Now, I have a total of, now narrow shelf up there has to be changed, but anyway, I have a total of 7 growing shelves and 1 bottom shelf that I can use for, if I decide to go to solid trays and I'm not in the greenhouse where I don't care where the water goes, I can put a tray underneath there to catch all the water that would run down. Right now I am using just regular trays. Now these 2 trays here, 10 by 20s, they have no dividers or anything in them, but I only had 2 of those because this is not something we use in a greenhouse a lot. So I am also using our divided ones. Now, when I grow one of these trays, it's come to 7 pounds of finished product. So I'm in hopes of, by putting them in these section trays, that I'll end up with a little over, a pound a piece in here. There's 6, so split that last pound between them, and it'll be completely ready because each one of those ought to feed 1 alpaca for the day. More than the alpacas are going to be using that, but that's what it's for mostly. Now, this is wheat, and as you can see, it is sprouting. Okay, now the temperatures dropped on me, so it slowed my process down. These have all come up today and sprouted up because I've had extra heat in here. And here's, I'm trying to keep from getting dripped on. The next day, this would be a day 2. This is the next one starting up. So what I do is I soak overnight, I soak my seed, and I start out in hot water. It seems to help it a lot better. Let it soak overnight. Come out here the next day and I put it evenly in our trays. Okay, so this time I've got all my trays numbered. Each shelf has 3 trays to it. So day 1, since I'm just getting started feeding this, I don't want to overload everybody, so don't need to grow a bunch of it. So here's day 1. So then the next day I fixed my next tray, and I did 1 on day 2. Then day 3 I did 2 trays of. Day 4 I did 1, and day 5, which was today, the light, I'm sorry about the light, it's facing the south, I have 2 trays of, okay? So what I do is I come through, and every day I just add however many trays I want. So when this, it takes about 7 days, that's why there's 7 shelves. Like I said, this was a little slower because of the coolness. It should be a little bit bigger, but it'll catch up. It's wheat, it'll catch up. So day 1 will be ready to feed. Well then, day 2, 3, 4. But as I'm doing this each night, I'm doing, so when number 1 goes out, then number 2 will be ready, but they'll already be going for the next time. Right now I have just a 60-watt light bulb down here for tonight because it's not real cold. Doesn't seem to make, as Mark said, a lot of sense trying to save money on stuff if we're going to be running a heater in there. But with this plastic and the heat that's already built up, we should be okay. So my idea behind this is the ratio usually is for a 50-pound bag of wheat seed or barley or whatever, you get 250 pounds of finished product. Now, I have already, like I said, I have done a couple trial runs on it, and most of the livestock really likes it. So what they're getting is the benefit of an unprocessed grain, a higher protein level, and they eat the roots and everything. I mean, it's great. The only problem I've seen so far is I have an alpaca that doesn't have any back teeth. He's the main reason I've started this. So his will go in a food processor. So I just take his pounded feed, put it in the food processor, he eats it. There's no problem. The sheep are a little leery of it yet. They're not really too sure about it. The donkeys love it. The cow loves it. So my whole idea is to get a better food for them source as opposed to, say, the sweet feed. That's what I'm replacing, is the sweet feed. I probably will keep them on beet pulp. They do like their beet pulp. It is really good as a filler for them. Puts on some extra weight and stuff. But this, in hopes, if everything works well, is going to be what replaces the grains. The processed grains should be a whole lot better for them. Their bodies should process it a whole lot better. Gets rid of those sugars and those starches that they don't need. That's not really great for them, especially a ruminant. A ruminant, they just don't. They don't need that extra that stuff to ferment in there. They need stuff that'll go in and ferment nicely, like grasses and hays. So right now I'm sitting at, like I said, 7 pounds, 4 cups is what it is. 4 cups of soaked grain is giving me 7 pounds of finished product. Each alpaca is only getting 1.5 pounds tops. They don't need any more than that. It's 2 to 3% of their body weight. And my hopes is that in 15 pounds a day, I can cover the alpacas, the sheep, and my old horse that needs the extra boost. So far, everything seems to be doing good. The old horse loves it too. So I just throw it in there with his beet pulp and a little senior feed at this time because he's not switched over to everything yet, and it seems to be working well. So that is my attempt right now at the fodder system. And what I will do, if this works well and we keep going, I will make it a lot better. I'll probably go to a solid tray with just holes at one end so that I can slant them back and forth as they go down the trays. That way when you water from the top, it slowly gets everything wet and then goes down to the next layer and then goes down to the next layer. That's my goal. That's the way most of them are set up. But right now in the greenhouse, it doesn't matter if the floor gets wet. So, I just do it. And they can't get too hot. I found that if it gets too hot, it starts to dry out a little bit. They're going to stop germinating. So you're looking at about 70 to 72 degrees. Seems to be really a good temperature for growing this. So that's not too bad. Should be able to maintain that pretty decent in here when we close everything up and the heating the place up for the day and the wood stove's going at night. We should be okay there. So I'll probably end up, if everything works well, changing maybe to a solid tray so I can contain the water. Which gets really stinky, by the way. I'm going to tell you right now, wheat, as it's growing, and we're running that water through, gets a little smelly. I did notice today, with it being tarped and closed, that I got a few gnats in there because I didn't have the airflow, but they're not going to hurt anything. And it does smell kind of funky, but it is what it is. And I will probably put a watering system on the very top shelf so that I can just walk in there, turn it on, and it can come in and it can run as long as I want it to just keep running through till everything's soaked. As of right now, I water it 2 times a day. So as long as it's not sitting in the direct sunlight and everything, today it was really great sitting in that tent. It was warm, but it kept the moisture in. So I come up in the morning, water it all down, make sure it's soaked really good, come back in the evening, do it again, and it's fine. I mean, it's doing really good. I know a lot of places like racehorses, they're starting to feed fodder instead of the grains, and dairy operations, they do the same thing. So we'll see. So this is my first full week attempt at doing it. And I have, let's see, I'm on 5. Should be, let's see, today is Saturday, Sunday, Monday. By Tuesday, I should be feeding. However, like I said, the cool nights kind of slowed things down a little bit, but it should make up for it. So hopefully by Tuesday, I'll be on a roll starting to feed, and then I'll have constant, every day there'll be trays ready, and it just keeps on going. And as long as you keep soaking your stuff and putting it in there, it just keeps growing and you're good to go. So I will do an update later and show you guys how it's doing and pros and cons. So thanks for watching from Red Duchess Farm.